In the previous lecture, we discussed faith as a basis for belief. In this lecture, we're going to ask some similar questions about intuition. First, to be clear what we are discussing, intuition is when we form beliefs based on hunches or instincts or gut feelings. A variety of mechanisms in the body and brain can produce intuitions. And sometimes intuitions can be accurate sources of information. Sometimes we pick up on things on a subconscious level, and this allows us to form accurate beliefs without even being quite sure how we did it. This explains things like clever Hans, the counting horse, that was discussed in the reading, and can also explain the false positives in some ESP experiments. People can pass information on to others through body language, etc., without ever realizing it. And of course, we are all familiar with intuitions in our daily lives. Sometimes you meet someone and you just get a feeling about them. Something feels off and you don't trust the person. Or you turn down a street and get a sudden feeling of impending danger. Or you have a hunch when answering a multiple choice question on a quiz that you aren't sure about and go with it, and so on. Now let's ask the same two questions that we asked about faith. Are intuitions a basis for claims of knowledge? And is it acceptable, either morally or practically, to form beliefs on the basis of intuition? On the first question, it is true that sometimes intuitions are produced by reliable unconscious mechanisms. Our intuitions do sometimes give us accurate information about the world. Maybe that feeling of danger you had when you turned down the street was accurate. Maybe there was someone lurking ready to mug you, and you detected that person on an unconscious level somehow. However, some intuitions can also very often be produced by very unreliable and flawed mechanisms. And if that's right, then there is room for reasonable doubt about beliefs based on intuition, which means that they by themselves cannot be a true source of knowledge. One kind of bad source of intuitions is something called implicit bias. This is a phenomenon that has been supported by a great deal of work in psychology in the past couple of decades. An implicit bias is an unconscious stereotype based on race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, etc. And a lot of research shows that our implicit biases can influence how we evaluate others and how we treat others, all without us ever realizing it. I am going to provide a link to a talk by a researcher named Jerry Kang who explains some of these results. The bottom line is that while intuitions can sometimes be a good starting point, they aren't enough by themselves. It is dangerous to form beliefs based on intuitions alone. You risk acting in unacceptable ways towards others and doing things that aren't good for yourself. You should always try to support a hunch with strong evidence before accepting it, and especially before acting on it.